Hello all, welcome to Naresh IT Labs. So in this particular video we are going to discuss about what is a conditional statement in Java. And in conditional statements we have different types of conditional statements like if and switch case. And again under if we have simple if else, nested if and the switch cases. So we would be covering about all these various things in this particular video. So let me go into Eclipse. I'm creating a new class and I would be giving it as conditional statements concept. Public static void main I'm selecting. Click on finish button. Now, before we go into conditional statements, let's say if I want to print a output called numbers are same, or if I want to print a output called numbers are not same, what do? I would say system.out.println numbers are same. Or if I want to print numbers are not same, I'm writing system.out.println numbers are not same. Now, if I run this particular program in the output, it would display as numbers are same, or it would say numbers are not same. So what we are doing here we are executing the lines of code without having some conditions. Now suppose if someone asks us to print the output if these numbers are matching. So number 1 is going to be 10 and number 2 is also going to be 10. If number 1 is 10 and if number 2 is also 10, then I want to print this. Or I want to I want to say if number 1 is not equal to number 2, then I want to print that numbers are not same. So for this, there is a conditional statements which are available, which can be a if condition or we can use a switch case. So first, we will be discussing about simple if and what is the purpose of conditional statement. So the purpose of conditional statement is to execute any statements based on condition. So those conditions can be if one is equal to other, if one is not equal to other. Based on those conditions, if you want to execute, we can use the conditional statements. So first we are seeing the simple if, and if you see the syntax of simple if open the curly bracket, open the half circle brackets and closing of half circle brackets. You are opening the curly brackets and closing of curly brackets. Inside this, you are going to specify the condition. So we need to specify the condition inside this half circle brackets. So with this syntax, I'm saying, so first let me define two variables. Int number 1 is equal to 10, number 2 is equal to 10. So now I want to compare if this is equal to this. So here I'm writing the code as per the syntax. If and the condition is number 1 double equal to number 2, then I want to print system.out.println numbers are same. So that I am printing system.out.println numbers are same. So now if you run this program as per the logic, so number 1 is having 10 and number 2 is having 10, 10 is equal to 10, it will go and print this. So when this line of code will execute, if this condition is matching, then it will execute whatever lines of code we have inside this. You may have numbers are same, or you may have test case is pass, anything. So if you run the program, it will go and execute numbers are same. Now, suppose number 1 is 10 and number 2 is 20. So what I can do here, I want to verify if number 1 is not equal to number 2. If number 1 is not equal to number 2, then I want to print that numbers are not same. So here I can say if number 1 not equal to number 2, system.out.println numbers are not same. And if you run this particular line of code, it would say that numbers are not same because this condition is matching. Suppose I want to print a statement if number 1 is less than number 2. If 10 is less than 20, I want to print that number 1 is less than number 2. So here I am writing the if condition. If number 1 less than number 2, I can say system.out.println number 1 is less than number 2. So here if you see 10 is less than 20. If you run the program, number 1 is less than number 2. So this is how you can write a simple if statement, Now we have the second thing, which is nothing but if else statement. So let's see how we can use if else statement. Now suppose I have two values. Int number 1 is equal to 10 and number 2 is equal to 20. So int number 1 is equal to 10 and number 2 is equal to 20. Now if this number is less than this number, I want to say that number 1 is less than number 2. Else I want to say that number 1 is greater than number 2. So here I am writing if else. If number 1 less than number 2, then system.out.println number 1 is less than number 2. Else open the curly brackets, sysout number 1 is not less than number 2. So if this number is less than this number, I want to say that number 1 is less than number 2. Else I want to say that number 1 is not less than number 2. So if you run the program, 10 is 10 less than 20. Yes, 10 is less than 20. Number 1 is less than number 2. So this statement will execute if this condition is matching. And this statement will execute if condition is not matching. If you run the program, run as Java application, number 1 is less than number 2. As this condition is true, as this condition has met, that's the reason it is printing this. Now, let's take another scenario. int number 1 is equal to 100, number 2 is equal to 100. Suppose if number 1 is equal to number 2, I want to print numbers are same, else I want to print that numbers are not same. I'm writing if condition. Now if control space, from here also you can select from Java IntelliSense. If you see if else statement you have, enter. If number 1 double equal to number 2, system.out.println number 1 is same as number 2. Else I would say system.out.println number 1 is not same as number 2. And if you run the program, 100 is equal to 100, as this condition is matching, it would print this. If this condition is not matching, it would print this. In this case, as the condition is matching, it would print this. Number 1 is same as number 2. Now suppose number 1 is 100 and number 2 is 10. Is 100 equal to 10, which is not equal? It will not execute this. It will come here and it will execute this. So after this if else, we have the third kind of if statement, which is nested if. So what is this nested if, and how we can use nested if in Java? Okay. Now suppose let's take a example of, let's say here the training is conducted by different people. Okay, let's say the training is conducted by different people, and as part of the training, so different courses have been conducted by different people. Okay, so in that case, how do we create a program? Suppose coming to manual, coming to manual, it is conducted by Kumar. If it is automation, it is conducted by Naresh. If it is SQL, it is conducted by, let's say, Alex. And if it is API, it is conducted by John. Now suppose if it is with regards to anything else, please contact us on Naresh IT Labs at the rate of gmail.com. Now suppose tomorrow there is a process that we have established online. As part of that process, there are students like you, or there are people like you who can go into our website and who can fill the form. And in the form, if they are mentioning as manual testing, or if they are mentioning as manual, they have to get a reply saying like, please contact Kumar. And if it is automation, they have to get, please contact Naresh. If it is SQL, they have to get a reply, please contact Alex. If it is API, please contact John. If it is any other, if a person is sending with regards to any other things, he should get a reply saying like, please contact us on Naresh IT Labs at the rate of gmail.com. So here it's not one condition, it's more than one condition that we need to accommodate. That's where we have the nested if. So if, open the curly brackets, sorry, open the half circle brackets and closing of half circle brackets will be there, and open the curly brackets and closing the curly brackets. So now here, let's say manual automation, SQL, API, all these are nothing but a string. I'm defining a variable of string. So string, I will say like training is equal to, as of now, the students are trying to send with regards to SQL, right? If whatever they are contacting, if training double equal to manual system dot out dot println, please contact Kumar. Now if it is automation, so here I am saying else, if, else space if, open the half circle brackets and closing of half circle brackets, training is equal to automation, open the curly brackets. So here it would be please contact Naresh. Else if training double equal to SQL, if it is SQL, please contact Alex. Else if training double equal to API, system.out.println, please contact John. Now in your nested if, there is a default block called as else. So this other I'm writing in else. Else, please contact us on Naresh IT labs at the rate of gmail.com. So now here if you see, this is the inquiry that student is sending. The student is asking about SQL. Now if the student is asking about SQL, it has to go and execute this line of code. He should get this reply. Now when you start executing the line of code here, how the program would work? First, this SQL will go and store under this training. Now it comes to this if block. Now in if block, it is comparing if SQL double equal to manual. As this condition is false, it will go to this. Now it will compare SQL double equal to automation. As this condition is false, it will go to the next line of code. So here it will compare SQL equal to SQL. As SQL equal to SQL, as this condition is becoming true, it will go and execute this. If you run this program, it is executing the line of code which is please contact Alex. So here to have a closer execution of this, so what I am doing is I'm inserting a breakpoint. There is a concept called breakpoint. So what is a breakpoint, and what is the benefit of breakpoint? So before we understand about a breakpoint, suppose suppose I'm living in a community. Let's say this is a big community where we have several houses. These are all the various houses. Now there is a small road where people can drive their cars, and after you cross the road, there is a playing area. This is the playing area where kids can start playing. So let's say there is a car that somebody is driving. Now, when the car is driven by somebody, now when the car is coming on this road, there are some kids who are crossing this road. There are some kids who are crossing the road from these houses. Now, what the car driver will do? The car driver will apply the brake. As soon as he see the kids, he will apply the brake. So the purpose of using brake is he want to stop, not stop, he want to pause the car. That means he want to pause the driving until the kids crosses the road so that he can continue with the driving. So what a brake is doing, the brake is pausing the car to drive, and later it's a decision of a driver whether he want to continue further or not. That's the purpose of your brake in your car. Similarly, if you take here in Java or in your Eclipse, there is a breakpoint. So what breakpoint will do? Breakpoint will pause your execution on whatever line you want to pause with. So let's say I want to pause on line number 14. From there, I want to execute step by step. So breakpoint will pause your execution wherever you want, and I can execute line after the other if I want. So to insert a breakpoint on line number 14, I will double click. There is a small dot which is inserted. This is nothing but a breakpoint. So whenever you insert a breakpoint, I need to execute, but I will not be executing in the normal mode. This I am running it in a normal mode. Rather than running it in a normal mode, there is a spider symbol. This is the one I'm referring about. Click on it. Now it will ask confirm perspective switch. That means it is asking whether can we switch to the debug mode or not. Switch. So your execution is paused on line number 14. See there? This is on line number 14. It has paused. And now here you can add or you can see what value is stored in this variable if you want. So let's say copy this, and here, so expressions, I can add a new expression, paste the same, enter. So error during the evolution. Okay, so if you see there is a breakpoint, and here you can see that variable. One second. Okay, so I want to run line by line. I want to go from line number 14 to line number 16. So here on the top there is an option called step over. Click on step over. Now it went to line number 16, and if you see here in training there is a value called SQL which is displayed. So now it come to line number 16. Now again if I click on this step over, it will go to the next line because here it has verified SQL equal to manual, which is not equal. It went to line number 18. So click on step over. It went to line number 20 because SQL is not equal to automation. Now here if you see SQL equal to SQL. Now if you press F6, it went to line number 21 because this condition is matching. Now again press F6 again. It has executed this. Now the execution will be stopped. So this is what your nested if will do. So your nested if, it is going to each and every line until the condition is met. Okay, so we'll go to every condition until the condition is met. If no condition is met, then it will print statement in else block. So then it will print the statement in the else block. So this is about the different different if statements which are available in Java. So now in this conditional statement itself, we have one more conditional statement which is nothing but switch case. Switch case. So switch case is similar like your nested if. So I'm taking the same example itself. So the syntax of switch case would be something like this. Switch, open the brackets and close the bracket. We have something called as key. Key is nothing but whatever statement you want to compare, right? So this is nothing but the key. Okay, so string training is equal to SQL. This is the key. What you are expecting is nothing but the key. Now inside this, you have multiple cases. Case 1, you will have a colon and you will have the statement to execute. And then you have a break. Then you have case 2 colon statement 1 break. Now same like your nested if, by default you have a else block. Here you have default. So default, and here whatever statement you want to execute. This is the syntax of your switch case. So now I'm going here. So here, so let's say the student is sending the query with regards to the training which is SQL. So I will take this. I'm giving as SQL. Now switch. You can also use Java IntelliSense to get the switch statement control space. You have switch case statement. This is the one. This is what the syntax we have discussed. So switch, you are specifying the key. The key is nothing but training. So the key is nothing but training. So if this SQL, if it is equal to manual, so then system.out.println, please contact Kumar. And every case should have a break. If you don't have a break, what will happen? We will be discussing in some time. Now suppose, let me copy. So case automation. So contact Naresh. And then you have a break. Case SQL. So system.out.println, please contact Alex. So case API. System.out.println, please contact John. So default, so here I am saying system.out.println, please contact us on so and so. So now the same breakpoint I'm applying on line number 18. Line number 18 I'm double clicking. So now I'm running it in the debug mode. So here if you observe, okay, one second. So now if you see, it has paused on line number 19. Now training has SQL. Now I'm pressing F6. So here if you observe, it directly jumped into the case of SQL. So with your switch case, what your nested if has done, nested if will go to every condition until the condition is met. If no condition is met, then it will print the statement in else block, right? But coming to your switch block, it will jump directly into the block where condition is matching. If no condition is matching, then it will it will go to default block. Then it will go to the default block, something like this. So here you are verifying for SQL. Now suppose, let's say someone wants to inquire about the start date. What is the start date? Like the SQL start date or training start date. So if you see, the training start date is not matching with any of this case, this case, right? So what it will do, as soon as it come and validate this, it will jump into the default block. So now if you run it in the debug mode, and now here if you observe, it's on line number 21. Now if I click on this step over, so directly it jumped into the default block where it is validating this. So here the differences between the nested if and switch case is this. In nested if, it will go to every condition until the condition is met. But coming to your switch case, it will directly jump into the block wherever it has to validate with. Okay, and the second difference is, let's say I copied some case and then I pasted here. It will not allow you the duplicate blocks. It's not allowing you the duplicate block, right? So this is another difference between switch case. Coming to your nested if. So coming to your nested if you see here, it will allow you the duplicate cases. Okay, one second. So if you see here in the nested if, it is allowing you for the duplicate blocks. So here if I am adding one more else if, it will accept. So this is the second difference between nested if and and your switch case will allow duplicate blocks. So here it will not allow duplicate blocks. So these are the differences that you have between switch case and nested if in your Java. So thank you all for watching, and let's meet in the next video.